My name is Patrick Bennett. I'm a candidate for the Duval County Soil and Water Conservation District in Group 1. And I appreciate this time. I am running for this, I think, because, I'm a native of Jacksonville. I grew up out on the north side, and I'm a local real estate attorney, and so on a daily basis I see people who are moving to this community for a variety of reasons, and unfortunately one of those reasons is not because the Jaguars are going to the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be because people are looking to move to this area because of the relatively low tax base that we have, and then also the natural resources I think that this area provides. The weather is great, the beaches, the river, there's abundant opportunities for outdoor activities, and I think that I want to make sure that those are preserved for my children and for generations to come after that. I think that's the greatest gift that we can give to future generations, and so I'm running to make sure that our best practices are put forward in that regard.
What is the need for a soil and water commission in Duval County?
I think the need is great. Again, we want to make sure that our natural resources are preserved. We've had issues in the news in the past years about our river, St. John's River, which is both a tourist. It drives tourism into our community and also drives our economy with the port and other issues that we have in that regard. And so I think that it's a valuable resource to our community, and the commissioners, the board serves without pay, and so I think that the need is there, and I think that the board can do a better job to make clear what it offers to our community. I serve also as the general counsel to a group called the Jacksonville National Cemetery Support Committee, and as you know, for veterans in our community, there's a new national cemetery that was put out on the north side many years ago, and that committee was created for a variety of different reasons. One of those things is to try to be a conduit to bring together all the different veterans groups in our community and publicize all their information, coordinate their information, and then determine ways in which we can help those communities and those interest holders. And I see the board operating, this board, the Soil and Water Conservation Board, operating at its best in that similar capacity, where it combines all of those different interest holders, whether it's the St. John's River Water Management District or JEA or the County Extension Office or whatever interest holders we have, combining all of those people together, coming up with best practices, and being able to publicize and work towards a common goal, and that is to make sure that our resources are protected and conserved.
What item would you introduce to the Commission for the taxpayers to fund?
I actually wouldn't introduce any item that taxpayers would have to fund. As many of you know, the board does have taxing authority. It's never been exercised, however, it does have that ability, and I think that that is, if the wrong people are elected to this board, that's an ability that may be exercised, and I think that citizens need to be aware of that. And so I would be a proponent not for eliminating the board, which I know that some people have been, because I think the board serves a valuable purpose, but for eliminating the taxing authority of the board. I think that any projects or any recommendations that we have can be put forward with the resources that we have, and if we don't have the resources through our own means and abilities, that we can work with public-private partnerships to bring in other interest holders and utilize funds or raise funds or use grants or other sources that are out there to accomplish our goals without having to tax the citizens. I would be opposed to any measure from this board that would require increased taxing upon our citizens.
How will the needs of the Soil and Water Commission be funded?
I think, as I said in the last question, that I understand that the board has a very small budget this year, which comes from discretionary funds from the mayor's office, and so those are not new funds that were proposed or new funds that were given by the city council, but they were funds already within the mayor's budget that the mayor has chosen to allocate towards the board. I think it's somewhere around $5,000. And I think that anything above and beyond that would have to come from public-private partnerships, from working with other interest holders in the community, or potentially seeking grants or other things along those lines. But I think that the board can work within its means as it currently is, without having to worry about, without having to propose additional taxes upon the citizens.
How is the Soil and Water Commission taxing authority administered?
The taxing authority would be administered in a similar way as property taxes or any other sort of school board taxes are administered in the county. The Florida statutes provide that taxing authority. However, again, I think it would be an interesting sort of logistical issue if a taxing authority was exercised by the board, since it's never been done in this county before. So it would operate in a similar way that a property tax would, but again, I would be opposed to any measure which would take those steps.
Are you fiscally conservative when it comes to spending taxpayer money?
Absolutely. I've been a lifelong conservative, a lifelong Republican, and I recognize the value that it is in making sure that our tax dollars are spent wisely and that our citizens are taxed in only to the extent that is appropriate. We certainly recognize that a government has to operate, a government has to have resources in order to accomplish its goals, but I think that in many ways government taxing and government authority can get out of hand, and so I would make sure that I'm a proponent of exercising those conservative values which I hold so dear, and making sure that the board uses the funds that it has been given wisely, and making sure that if we, for whatever reason, whatever project we have that needs to go above and beyond that, that we would make sure that we work with sources of funding outside of the tax base.
Would you like to make a closing statement?
I would, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much to the First Coast Tea Party for their time and for putting on this interview. I think it's, for a race especially like this, providing education to voters is a very, very valuable thing, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell my story. I would encourage anyone who's interested to check out my Facebook page. Again, it's Patrick Bennett for the Soil and Water Conservation District Group 1 to learn more information, and I would appreciate the opportunity to earn your vote. Thank you.